Amazon is about to announce the largest job cuts in its history. According to Reuters, 30,000 corporate roles on the line. More than Microsoft and Intel made redundant this year combined. And this morning, 14,000 of them have already received pink slips. And today in this video, we will talk about three things. First is who's getting cut. Second, what signal does it send to big tech and to all of us? And finally, what we should do to avoid the same fate. And most importantly, is this the beginning of a new AI job replacement wave? Welcome to AI Survival Guide. Every Friday in just 8 minutes you get one headline, one chart, and one takeaway. No hype, no doom. I'm Scripter, AI expert, economist, and former Forbes columnist. And our goal here is to keep your career AI relevant. Here's how markets reacted. Amazon's stock price is up more than 1.5% on the news. Remember, there were times when layoffs were bad news and stock prices usually were going down. Back then, companies were firing people when business was doing not so well. And when business was doing well, companies were hiring people. That's because people were needed for growth, but not anymore. Now, in the AI era, the logic has flipped. Companies are firing people because business is doing well. People are no longer needed to grow the business. And this is the AI era we now live in. So here's what we know so far. According to Reuters, all these 30,000 jobs, they are all corporate roles, meaning they are not warehouse workers. They are white collars, they are office stuff. And we already know that the first 14,000, they have already been notified, meaning that the remaining 16,000 are probably coming this week. And most importantly, from what we see from the social media posts already, there are three most affected areas. The first one is HR, the second is marketing, and the third one, cloud. So what does it really mean? Well, let's start with HR. HR turned out to be one of the most AI-able professions. Nobody really writes resumes anymore. What happens is that candidates ask AI to write resume, and then recruiters ask AI to review them. That's it. The human role has been reduced to passing resume from one AI to another. We've become couriers, like messenger boys. The HR function is being replaced by AI very actively. For example, Indeed, which is America's largest job website, has recently announced that they are working on building AI Recruiter, which is an AI agent. According to Indeed, what they announced is that the global HR market is roughly $650 billion per year. And it is almost completely manual. Until recently, it was almost completely manual, done by people. And what Indeed says is that the objective of the AI recruiter is to replace these humans and to take a share of this market. And Indeed is not alone. Hundreds of startups across the world are doing the same. And it is only a question of time when they succeed. And this Amazon HR layoff wave is just the first indication, the first sign of this coming AI wave. In other words, HR is no longer a human profession. This should be crystal clear. Well, if we also look at this from another angle, we can see that starting from now, humans will be replaced by AI, literally. Previously, it was human HR managers who were firing people. Now it will be done by AI. Now let's talk about marketing. Because based on the data that we currently have, marketing professionals, they've become the second largest part of this Amazon layoff wave. And for marketing, the story is slightly more complex. Because marketing tasks, we can split them in two separate groups. The first one is advertisement content creation. And the second is finding ways for customers to see that content, distribution. With the content creation, the things are fairly simple because we all see how easy content can be created these days. It is infinitely easier, faster, and cheaper than what it used to be just a year ago. So basically, you no longer need humans to create content. In other words, where you previously needed, let's say, 10 junior market specialists to create advertisement content, now one is enough. On the advertisement distribution side, things are slightly different, but also changing. Remember, previously, we all were browsing through the websites trying to find the information that we need, and all these annoying pop-ups here and there everywhere, basically standing between us and the data that we need. Well, not anymore. So the way how the search is done now is that we simply ask AI to do it. And it is AI who's actually watching all those pop-ups, and what we humans get, is just a net result of that. So it's AI who is watching advertisement now. So marketing is being disrupted, that's very certain. And this Amazon layoff wave is actually showing this, one of the first indication of how massive this wave is. The question remains as if humans will be removed from marketing completely, or there will be some strange configuration in the way how it will be done. I don't know yet. It has to be analyzed separately, and we probably will dedicate one of the next videos to AI survival guide in marketing. Marketing has been replaced. This is fairly certain now. And today's Amazon layoff waves is actually one of the first signals, one of the first indicators of what is coming ahead. And now finally, cloud computing, because this is the third biggest area affected by the layoff wave. For some of us, this might be news, but actually Amazon is not just a marketplace. It is also a cloud provider. And this part of Amazon business is called AWS. And what they actually do, they effectively own data centers, and they lease these data centers to companies. So companies don't have to build their own data centers. They simply rent a data center. And Amazon has made this whole process so easy and simple that in the last decade, they have become basically a dominant player, basically a monopoly in this field. They are cloud providers. They made this whole process of renting data centers so easy that many companies actually did it. And now substantial part of the entire internet is actually run on AWS data centers. Amazon was extremely successful with this AWS, with cloud computing. However, in the last couple of years, we see signs that this business model is not really feeling well in the AI era. There are some problems with it. And in my personal opinion, Amazon has two main problems. The first problem is that this field, the AI field, is so profitable and it is attracting so much hungry startups and competition that big existing companies, they simply struggle to navigate the challenge, to navigate the requirements of the AI world. And to a large extent, this happens because Amazon, like any other big corporation or organizations, they actually succumb to bureaucracy. There is a very famous anecdote about a person who joined Amazon, and when he joined, he was just 5 layers below CEO. And then, after being promoted a few years later, he actually checked and found that he back then, was 15 layers below CEO. That's how bureaucracy mushrooms. So the bottom line is that this Amazon layoff wave is actually showing us how two professions are being replaced by AI, HR and marketing. But at the same time, what we can see as early signs is that something is happening in not just profession, but actually entire industry in cloud computing. It is pretty certain that cloud computing is going to survive, right? But it's definitely is changing. The structure, the business model of cloud computing is changing. All right, and now what does it mean for us, for human workers? I would like to start with 3 main misconceptions that many of us have. The first misconception is corporate loyalty, especially for those of us who've spent lots of time in that same role or with the same company. What happens is that we tend to think that company has some moral obligation, personal attachment to employees, which is wrong. I've been involved in 2 out of probably 10 largest bankruptcies in history. And also as a journalist, I've observed corporate inner workings for more than 5 years. And I can tell you that one of the probably most devastating things that you can see is when employees believe that there is some connection, some loyalty between them and the companies. And when it turns out that in reality, there is none. I just want to emphasize that it has to be very clear that companies are just groups of people that are bound together by contractual obligations. There is no personal connection there. It may feel with time that, well, we're all family, we're all friends. That's wrong. It's not the case. It doesn't work this way. Even in cultures where the sense of community may be very strong. And I'm not going to name countries here, but even in those cultures where people expect companies to be like a community, even there, it is not happening. It is not happening. A liquidation comes, layoffs, everybody get pink slip or whatever the version, local national version of a pink slip, and that's it. The next day, every person on its own. Second misconception is that somehow we tend to believe that we're not going to be affected by this AI wave that is coming. So basically we just ignore it. We close our eyes. This is exactly the wrong thing to do. AI is affecting one way or another almost every side of our lives. So just pretending that nothing is happening is wrong. So we should not do that. We should become active. We should become proactive. And finally, the third misconception, huge misconception, is that somehow government are going to help us. UBI, Universal Basic Income. I just want to emphasize that this is not going to happen. And we had a separate video about that, specifically about that. This is not going to happen. There's going to be no UBI. And that's one of the reasons why, so there is no plan B. One of the main reasons why we all, each one of us, have to work proactively and strategize and develop a plan B, our personal individual plan B. All right, and now it's time for recommendations. And I have three main recommendations. The first one is join the AI transformation. If you're in a company, just look around, because most likely that company is actually already going through AI transformation. And your purpose, your best strategy would be actually to join that transformation. The reason for this is that even if you're completely unrelated to AI, that's a winning strategy. You want to be a part of the change. You want to be an actor, not the subject of that change, right? And the reason for this are following. While you're involved in this, even if that eventually will destroy your business, your profession, your business unit, even in this case, in the worst case scenario, by actually going through this AI transformation, you will get skills that might help you later. But even more importantly, you may get connections that will help you later to jump to something else, basically to progress further. But most importantly, actually, it will give you the right mindset. The mindset that is active, that is searching for open to the new world, not trying to ignore the new reality or try to just resist AI. Resisting AI is actually the exactly wrong strategy. This is the last thing that we want to do in this new AI era. Now, the second recommendation is about timing. The key question here is, how much time do you have? And there are a few things to consider here. First, if you are in one of these professions, if you are in accounting, finance in general, law, legal, HR, marketing, basically that list of professions, of white-collar professions, you are in immediate danger. You probably do not have more than a year before the AI wave hits you, maybe even less. Another thing is that how much time you have also depends on your seniority. If you are on top of this corporate hierarchy, you probably have more time and more flexibility, and you can react. You can actually become that agent of AI transformation. But if you're in junior level, mid-level, you don't have time, because all this AI transformations that is happening, that you can see in your company probably, their actual goal is to replace you. You have to remember that. Their goal is to replace you. And now the final recommendation is, well, where do you go? What professions are still around? Let's say you found yourself in a junior role in one of these AI-able, replaceable professions. What do? That's a tough choice. Because previously it was very simple for junior guys. You just follow typical tropes. You just follow everybody else. You follow the crowd. Finance, law, tech, and well, we all know that. That doesn't work anymore. There are basically no mass professions anymore. Here I have a video that I hope will help you answer this question. I've spent quite some time researching this field, trying to understand what professions will have AI future, what professions will still be needed 10 years, maybe even 20 years from now. But basically, this is a list. In this video, you will find the list of 5 mass professions, the last 5 mass professions that will remain relevant in the AI era. And here's the final recommendation. And this one is, I would say, unofficial. It's not like really conventional. Open your calendar for the next week. Do you see all these endless meetings? And now do this. count how many of these meetings are actually initiated by you. And when I say initiated, I mean how many of them have their ultimate beneficiary, that is you. How many of them are your meetings, and how many of them are meetings that are needed by somebody else? And if it is less than 50%, or if less than 50% of time, your time, is actually spent to benefit somebody else, it's almost certain that AI will replace you. It's almost certain that there are countless startups that are currently working very hard to automate your role, whatever you do. So this is how you can assess how urgent it is for you to adapt to AI. So if your calendar is full of meetings initiated by somebody else, you need to move to act now. And also, when you will be picking your next step, this is how you also can assess AI safety or AI-ableness of that step. Just look at your calendar, predict your calendar. All right, we're pretty much done here. Here are 2 videos that I recommend for you. One is about UBI. Highly recommend to watch it, and it will put everything into proper perspective for you. You will see that there is no backup. You cannot rely on others. It is your safety. Your survival is your own business. And the second one is, again, 5 professions that will have, mass professions that will have AI future. See you on the other side. And by the way, don't forget to like. Thank you.